Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Rishabh Pant Show. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host for this week, Ashwin. I'm joined by DJ in London, and we are missing Varun in action. Unclear if he'll be back for a couple of weeks or not. We'll see when he's back, but he's dealing with a lovely personal situation at home as his family starts to grow. So congratulations to Varun for that. But DJ, you're stuck with me this week. And of course, as you gauged from my introduction, I'm already pumped and fired up to talk about the Rishabh Pant show. How are you doing, man? Nice to come off an England or an India victory in England. And I started looking at some stats. England doesn't lose a lot of ODI series at home, to be honest. It's pretty amazing. I think they lost one to Australia in 2020. Then they didn't lose for 5 years before that. And pretty good week overall.
Yeah, it's a better week than the week in which we lost the test match. We won the T20 series last week. We've now won the ODI series. The white ball team under Rohit can seem to do no wrong. I mean, we beat India we beat England at the Oval. We then lost at Lords, and then what a comeback to take the third ODI. But we'll talk all about that. Congratulations also to Varun. He's the first of us to go on paternity leave. So hopefully he'll be back soon. But I think he's probably earned his time off, considering he was on the podcast last week. So we'll have him back on soon.
Is he's on a 1 week on, 4 week off step schedule? Is that what he's doing for the podcast? No, I'm just giving him a hard time because this is how I'll decide whether he listens to it or not. But yeah,
Definitely.
DJ, pretty good.
For once, if he doesn't listen to it, he's probably got a valid excuse.
I mean, partly like, what are you doing in the middle of the night when you have to just sit and watch the baby? Just like put on your headphones and listen, man. Come on, this is the best time to. I don't know. I say this with no experience whatsoever in this field, but DJ, pretty exciting. We're going to talk about all three ODIs the team India played against Team England. It's just a bizarre time. It feels like before at last week's episode they hadn't played a single one, and then 3 ODIs. Now by next week's episode, the team will already be in the West Indies. Friday, I think it's Monday. It's Sunday when we record this. By next Friday, they're already playing the first ODI against the West Indies. 3 there, and then some T20s. Just lots of cricket. And I remember looking through the schedule, feeling like, oh my gosh, India's playing nothing between late August and end of September. And then, of course, I realized it's the Asia Cup. They've got the calendar block, but has not been finalized yet in terms of dates. But we're here to talk about that first ODI. Man, I don't know. I'm speechless, as you can tell. But as you think about the 10th ball of an innings, Jasprit Bumrah coming in, dismissing Jason Roy. I think he was bowled. Then 2 balls later, getting Root out. And the scorecard read 6 for 1, 6 for 2, 7 for 3, 17 for 4, 26 for 5. Then you had a pretty good partnership, but still 53 for 6. I'm going to keep going because this is fun. 59 for 7, 68 for 8. Another little good partnership cameo at the end from David Willey, but then 110 all out. What a start to a series at the Oval to have your India's quick bowlers pick up all 10 wickets. Bumrah 6 for 19, his best figures. I think he ousted one of my all-time favorites, Ashish Nehra, 6 for 23, and has one of the best figures by a quick, if I'm not mistaken. I think Stuart Binney will always hold that record. But
the best against England, right? 6 to 20.
Best against England, yeah.
Ashish Nehra.
Talk me through that innings. Like, how great was Jasprit Bumrah? He's missed out in white ball action for a while to manage workload and stuff, but gosh, what a player.
Yeah, he was unplayable, man, that day. Like, so I went to the Oval to watch the game. So I was actually.
I forgot about that. You got to see that. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I was at the Oval to watch the game, and it was muggy. It was humid, and there was appreciable movement, man. And I mean, you need that little bit of luck to go your way to start things off, right? Like Jason Roy, he's had the rub of the green go against him last few games. Dragged one onto his stumps. It was unlucky. But then the ball to get Joe Root, I mean, fabulous. Just perfect bowling. And it was Jasprit Bumrah just put on like a masterclass in fast bowling. And I mean, if you've got Mohammad Shami coming in the other end, there's really no let up. And it was just a great performance. And I mean, India just knocked the runs off simply. It kind of made you wish that this has happened two weeks earlier in that last innings of the test match, and then all the baseball chat would have ended. But it showed you, I mean, it wasn't that they were bowling badly. The conditions didn't suit them. The red ball didn't move. The white ball moved. Jasprit Bumrah bowled Livingston. under his leg, around his leg. I don't know how to say that because Livingston kind of flamingoed it, and the ball went under his leg and hit the leg stump. And that ball was it was just a fabulous ball that moved in a mile, and it was just great. So used the conditions perfectly, and Rohit and Shikhar just did the job. 10 wicket win. I mean, England haven't lost by 10 wickets for I think a decade.
Yeah, unbelievable. At home in the first ODI against England to win by 10 wickets. And again, full credit, of course, to the 6 wickets for Hardik, three for Shami. I think Prasidh took one. But also credit to the openers, right? Like it's a
Did he
different
just say
feeling when you.
6 wickets for Hardik?
So what did I say? Did I say Hardik? Sorry,
6 wickets
Bumrah
for
took six.
I think he said six
Hardik is in
wickets
my
for.
mind because
You've got
Bumrah took
Hardik
six.
on the
I've
mind.
got Hardik on my mind. Bumrah took six. Shami took three. Prasidh took one. Hardik bowled 4 overs in that match. Looked good, But I say hold that thought because obviously we now know he went on to win Player of the Series. But just we've said this so many times on this show, and every cricket chat show has said India's white ball setup looks completely different when you have a guy who can bat at six and bowl as quick as Hardik does. I mean, I'm worried for him managing his body and his injuries and things, but my gosh, it looks like a completely different setup when you have that option of Hardik with the ball, right?
Oh, absolutely. We can talk that quickly. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
we earlier in the year were talking about whether Hardik Pandya walks back into this team. Shreyas Iyer was doing well, Sky was doing well, and Pandya wasn't bowling then. And so that was a debate. Can he make it back into the team as just a pure batter? And I think we were wondering, and we got a tweet actually today for someone who's waited for like 5 months to bring it up. And he's like, oh, Hardik's the MVP. Of course he's the MVP when he's bowling. And I mean, there is no doubt about it. We can talk about what he's doing with the ball, which I find particularly interesting because he's banging a lot of balls in short. And he isn't a quickest bowler or a more skillful bowler, but he seemed to have figured out the length. And I think that's going to be crucial come Australia because you've got big grounds. He's getting a lot of people caught on the pull, a lot of people caught out of position. He's taking a lot of wickets with that short ball. So he's kind of playing that enforcer role, but he's not like a 90 mile per hour guy bowling at your ribs like a Mark Wood or Stuart Broad would have been in his heyday, or like a Shoaib Akhtar or something like that. So it's very interesting. There's obviously a lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes, and as you say, Pandya with him, it's his fitness, right? Like his body's been brittle in the last few years, and today the batting that he put on, I mean, we always knew he's got talent,
We're
but
jumping
those
ahead, but yes,
drives,
yeah.
I
Okay, let's go.
mean, yeah,
Let's keep
yeah,
going in order. I want to make sure
okay,
you're absolutely right, but let's keep going in order because in that second ODI, we obviously fell short, right?
yeah.
Where England batted horrendously in the first match, or India bowled phenomenally. India's batsmen just didn't show up. I will say I do think 246. It's been a long time. I don't remember the stat, but it's been a long time since England went an entire series at home without scoring 300. So
Or
India's
batting the
bowler.
50 overs in any game.
Oh, that's a good stat. They didn't last
They
50 overs.
didn't
We
bat the
got we
50
got
overs
10
in
wickets
any
all
game.
three matches.
And they
Unbelievable.
didn't bat 50 overs in any game.
Incredible, right? 246 for 10. Yep, they got all out in 49 overs. You were right in this match. This was a little bit different for the bowlers, right? As they moved to playing in Lords, Shami picked up one, Bumrah picked up two, Prasidh picked up one. Chahal was the superstar in terms of wicket taking, right? Picked up four and just showed you why. I'm a big
Class.
Chahal fan, but he showed you why he is
Pure
the player
class.
he is with the white ball.
He got Joe
But
Root out sweeping. Like, when was the last
incredible.
time Joe Root got out sweeping?
Just incredible, right? Just
Superb.
phenomenal. Kudos to Moeen Ali and David Willey, right? I think this is another interesting example. They were 102 for five, 148 for six. So at that point, India could have gone in for the kill, but lower order heroics, 246, probably still India probably felt good chasing that. What I do want to talk about again, Hardik Pandya, 6 overs, 2 for 28, right? So you didn't actually need to use Jadeja's full quota. You didn't need to use Prasid's full quota because Pandya picked up two. And just a disappointing start, right? Both the second and the third game after the openers showed up in the first ODI. Rohit and Shikhar both got out pretty cheaply. It was by 27 odd runs in the within under 10 overs. Both the openers were out. I'm going to skip one. I'll come back a little bit. Rishabh made a duck in this game. And, for one point, you saw Sky looked like he was going to play well. Hardik made 29. Jadeja made 29. Shami looked pretty good as well. But unfortunately, getting out for 146. Back-to-back matches with 6 wickets taken by a single bowler, both the cases by a quick bowler. unfortunately for Indian fans, this was by Reece Topley. DJ, talk to me about this guy. Right, didn't get to do much in the first ODI because there wasn't enough to defend. But defending 246, you're bowling with Craig Overton, David Willey, and of course Moeen Ali, and you show up and 6 for 24 in 9.5 overs. Just who is Reece Topley? Where did he come from?
So I was at Lords again, of course, watching this ODI game, and I was feeling pretty confident. 246 wasn't the world's biggest chase. Lords is usually a pretty good batting deck. India were a powerful batting side. We just chased 100 runs without loss. Rohit and Shikhar looked okay. I mean, there's a Crick Info article by Vitushan Ehantaraja, who's been on this show before, actually, Vitu on Twitter, and he basically writes about how this is the beginning of the Reece Topley era, and he's had injuries and all of that stuff. And we'll put a link in the show notes, but and he bowled well. I mean, India didn't help themselves. Let's be clear, we didn't help ourselves getting out to him. Um, he's got a mullet. He's kind of average speed, average movement. I I don't want to do him down. I mean, he's got 6 for 24, and which one of us has got 6 for 24 at Lords against India, right? You're playing international cricket, you're going to be good, but he isn't an outstanding bowler. He's in decent form, but we can talk about this later. India have a problem against left arm seam. We do have a problem. And that problem I've realized has come after we stopped playing Zahir Khan in the nets. We did not have this problem.
You think the lack of left arm seamers in our nets or in the practice sessions is leading to the problem playing against them? I mean, so
I don't
Reece
know.
Topley is
Or
also.
world class seamers. We don't have any world class left arm seamers, right? And so who have we lost to? We've lost to Pakistan in the 2017 Champions Trophy, Mohammad Amir. We've lost to New Zealand in the 2019 World Cup semi-final, Trent Bolt. We've lost again to Pakistan, Shaheen Shah Afridi ripping through that top order. Reece Topley is taking 6 for 24 against you. I mean, surely there's a pattern here. Don't I mean? I'm sure you can think of other, like Junaid Khan has taken left arm wickets against them, but that was a long time ago. But we just haven't. I think we're not playing enough left arm seam bowlers because we just don't have that class of bowler in the net.
Do we need to bring Jadev Unadkat back into the setup?
Of course, I'm always a big fan. I mean, if
Or
nothing else,
or or Junior Tendulkar? Does he become a net bowler for Team
anybody
India?
stop
Yeah,
this
yeah.
19 for 3. You've given Reece Topley 6 for 24.
Do you think Reece Topley is 6'8" or something ridiculous? He's a huge guy. Like, how often are India going to face bowlers like that?
I mean, Kyle Jamieson is pretty tall. We've got out to
Yeah.
him as well. But I mean, I think it's the combination of factors, right? Like left arm tall, and I mean, the Lord Slope would have done something. But I genuinely think someone probably can do the stats, someone better qualified than us, as to how many wickets we lose to left arm bowlers, left arm seam bowlers. And I suspect they're um, pretty good weapon against the Indian top order, and especially under pressure. Even today, top 3 wickets in Manchester, where we lost those wickets to Trent Bolt in the World Cup semi-final, same ground. Who do they go to? Rohit, Topley. Shikhar, Topley. Kohli, Topley.
Gosh, yeah. When you start thinking about that, right? Like, Topley got Rohit, Shikhar, Sky, and then the tail. But man,
No, I
yeah.
think Sky went to.
No, sorry. In the second match. In the second match.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously you don't want to be 1-1 going into the Manchester game, right? It is interesting. I think India. I'm deliberately pausing on one topic because as much fun as it's going to be to talk about Rishabh Pant, the Kohli question has to come up, and it's going to be painful for us to talk about as Kohli fans. But we're going to do it. That's why we're here. That's why we do this show. Let's talk about the third ODI, and then I want to just we'll take a break. We'll come back, and I want to talk a little bit about the pros and cons and some things for us to consider as a white ball side going into the World Cup season. Third ODI, England bat first again, right? Match started really early my time, so I wake up to see they were like 20 odd for 2, so they lost 2 quick wickets early. First off, I wake up to see I wasn't expecting this. Must have missed it if they announced it yesterday. But I woke up. I was like, "Where's Bumrah? What happened?" So DJ, do you know what happened to him? I believe it was just a back spasm, which is usually just out for quick bowlers, out for 3-4 days. But any more insight into what happened? He's been
No.
rested for West Indies, which is good.
Yeah, and I mean, he's played. He had a heavy workload in the Test match. He's played the T20s. He's played the first two ODIs. You're not. So this is not a make or break for India, right? Like, I mean, whether you win the series or not, mind you, this is a tour where India has gone undefeated. It
Hmm.
feels like we lost that Test match, but if it had been drawn, that was a 2-2 series. That series was drawn. But if the Test match had been drawn, we would have won
Undefeated in
each of the
series. Yeah,
series.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
we haven't lost any series.
So well said, actually. Yeah.
We tied the Test series, we won the ODI series, and we won the T20 series against some of the best white ball players in the world. But Bumrah had a heavy
Against
workload,
the
right?
white ball champions.
Yeah, they won the World Cup final. They won the World Cup, but maybe not the final because I was
They
tied.
tied the World Cup final, but they have
Yeah,
the trophy in there. Anyway, keep
that's
going.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, I don't think there's any particular insight, and I mean, Bumrah just needs to be wrapped in cotton wool, right? What you don't want is
Mhm.
him to get injured before that T20 World Cup, and just let him do work on his fitness. I mean, he's a class bowler. I mean, we've already
So,
spoken about his 6 for 19, right? So,
so if you told me Bumrah was being rested and somebody else would be given the new ball to accompany Mohammad Shami, I don't think I would have either predicted or transparently been too excited about the thought of it being Mohammad Siraj with the white ball. And I, he proved me wrong, which I'm thrilled about. But on paper, I don't know if I would have been most excited about him with the white ball. I have nothing but the most respect for him as a red ball cricketer, but his record with the white ball is very different. He comes out here, gets two of the best batsmen in the world at the moment, including form. But he gets Bairstow. Is that Yeah, he gets
and Root.
Bairstow
He
and
gets
Root,
Root and Besto.
both in the
Both for
second over of
ducks.
the match, both for ducks. Just unbelievable. Like just unbelievable. I didn't like I said, I woke up after that over started and I went back and watched the highlights and he was just hitting the deck hard. He was being aggressive. He was jumping like a big jump, bending his back. And some heroics from Roy came next. And thankfully Hardik Pandya came back and did the next two wickets, right? I think he took both Roy and Stokes. So interesting to see like kind of going in pairs. And again, Joss Butler came out later, played a good knock, made 60 odd as a captain. If you had asked me, 259 was more than they should have gotten after being called at 74 for 4. But we know England's a great white ball team. Full credit to Chahal, who helped close it out with 3 for 60. Hardik, 4 for 24. 7 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 24. He even said he gauged quickly that this pitch needed him to bend his back a little more, and he was. And that comment hurt me a little because it's like, please just don't injure yourself.
Don't bend it too much.
Don't bend it too much. But 259, DJ, if I told you 259 and then India's top three, who have been so reliable, so reliable, got 38 for 3. That's not a great place to be, right? When you defend the opposition to 200, when you limit them to 259.
No, I mean it's the same old story, right? Like it's losing the top three. It's under pressure. It's a deciding game of a series, and you're like, okay, again, when it mattered, the big boys didn't show up, right? And
So I saw a
England on
tweet that
top.
said, sorry, I saw a tweet that said, the only time this usually happens is during ICC tournaments. So, if you're going to test the middle and lower order, better to do it in a bilateral, right? Like, is there any merit to saying, okay, if Rohit, Shikhar, and Kohli do get out, this is a real test now for our
Yeah.
lower order? Is there merit to that, or was it? Were you sitting there saying, "Gosh, we got to beat England at home. We needed our top order to fire"?
No, I mean, again, it doesn't matter as much. What you using this to audition your players, right? Putting them under pressure and seeing what comes out of that. The last time we won this, a game where we lost 3 wickets, I think in for less than 50 or for less than 40 was 2011 against the West Indies. Since then, we've lost like 9 chases. I think there's a Cricinfo article with all these stats in there. We've lost 9 chases where we've lost 3 wickets inside the power play, and that is not a good stat. So it is an audition. It's an audition for the lower order, and it was a test for them. Even at Lords, Pandya briefly fluttered. He scored 29-30 before hitting, I think it was Moin Ali down to square leg. Jadeja scored a few runs as well. All of this is important game time. You just can't rely on. One of the reasons we lost the 2019 World Cup and the Champions Trophy was the top three would just score the runs and nobody else got any game time. And the times you win long tournaments, and if Varun was here, he would have told us, it's when you're number four, you're number five, you're number six. They come to the party. The Yuvraj Singhs, the MS Dhonis, the Suresh Rainas. That's when you win big tournament. Of course, you need your top order to fire. You won't win. But when they fail, the guys at 4, 5, 6 need to step up and score those runs. And
So,
what a show.
so England makes 259. India is sitting at 38 for 3. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up the rest of that third ODI and talk about some of the pros and cons. So don't go anywhere.
Hello, hello, hello. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the second episode of Do What Floats Your Boat, Danish is joined by Shantanu Maheshwari. He shares his experiences from the world of dance. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam talks to Sachin Shah. He's the fund manager at MK Investment Managers Limited, and they talk about investment support. On All Things Policy, the Takshashila folk discuss the pros and cons of geoengineering. On The Habit Coach, Ashton shares tips on how not to give in to your temptations. And on The Life Manifesto, Zarina explains the importance of rewiring and reorganizing your brain. Before I leave, I just want to remind you all that we have some amazing merchandise for you guys. Please go to our website, click on the shop tab, and check out the collection of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Don't forget to rate us on any other platforms you're listening to us. And remember, you can also check us out on YouTube. We're also doing a small listener survey which helps us understand who you all are, our listeners. And we'd really appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes to fill it out. It helps us build better shows for you. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Boat Lifestyle, Small Case, Cap Gemini, and Intel vPro. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. DJ, you just said India wins big games or teams win big games when your 4, 5, 6 show up. Okay. So at 4 walks in Rishabh Pant. At 5 is Surya Kumar Yadav. Sky looks good, actually. Like he's playing conservative cricket, which is not his brand, but he's playing conservative because he says, I need to take it deep, as your favorite cricketer, of course, likes to do. And ended up getting out on 16. So we're 72 for 4 now with Pant and Pandya at the crease. Not historically the two guys you want to build depth of a long innings, right? Not necessarily on paper. Of course, they showed up today. And, they built this nice little partnership. So from 72 for 4, they made, another 80 odd runs. But what I'm talking about this because of how innings were paced, right? Pandya decided to play a little bit of an accelerator. And he made a 50 off about 43 balls, I think it was. And Rishabh got to his 50 of 71 balls, yeah. Which is the most, talk to me about that, right? What is it about this guy who's playing his 27th ODI, but is basically a mainstay in the test match setup? And I've said this before, I think he walks into the test match side, no questions asked right now, no questions. I do not think he necessarily walks into the white ball side because his white ball record for India isn't great necessarily. But 50 off 71 when your team needs you to consolidate, who is this guy? Does he know how to bat this sensibly? How did he do it?
So if you remember, again, 2019 World Cup semi-final, India 25 for 4. Who are the two guys at the crease then?
It was these two, right?
Yeah. Rishabh Pant comes in at number 4. Hardik Pandya is batting 6. How many times do you think these guys have played that? We're still hurting from that, right? Yeah. How many times have these guys who lived through that replayed that innings in their head again and again? And today they had the chance, almost 3 years to the day. Well, I think it was the 10th of July, wasn't it? I don't know why I remember this.
Man, that is way too much detail. There's no way.
10th and 11th of July. But because it was over 2 days.
Yeah, it was a two-day international.
But what they wish they'd done that day, they did today. And I'll be totally honest with you, man. Of course, Jadeja fielded well, and we haven't talked about it. All of that contributed to us restricting India to England to 260. But at the start of this year, and I'll be totally honest, I'd lost a little bit of the joy that came with cricket because there was all the politics happening, all the captaincy nonsense was going on. We lost in South Africa, and there was a game like literally every day. But when you watch a day like today, you watch the guys that you've like everybody's gone after Pandya, they've gone after Pant, like everybody's got a view on how these things work. But just the pure cricketing joy that these two guys bring to cricket fans is just incredible. Like Pant is the he's the ultimate confidence player. Like he's the kid in the colony that's like, I can win the match from anywhere. I can do anything. I can hit the ball wherever I like. I'm better than everybody over here. And Pandya is his rogue friend. And so the pure joy that these two guys brought to the game was just, it was so refreshing after all the like Rohit versus Kohli, Dada versus Kohli. Or I think today was as good as a chase that we saw from Yuvraj and Kef back in the day. It was in the same sunshine in the same country,
Wow. Yeah.
but it was the same scene. You're 38 for 3. You're
Yeah.
72 for 4. You're not chasing 326,
I
and
was
it's
going to
not
say three
unbelievable.
and 326 back then was probably what
But
400
you're not
today.
playing the world champions either
No,
back
you're
then.
right.
You were
You're
playing
right.
Nasir Hussain and like James Kirtley and like who
Yeah.
were those guys? Like
Yeah.
Ronnie Irani was bowling at you, right? But to play the world champions in their backyard, okay, fine. Reece Topley's average, but he's just come off 6 of 24. He's taken another 3 wickets. He's on
Top
top.
three, all three of India's top
Yeah.
order. Yeah.
But today, it just brought that joy back, just the free flowing happiness with which Pant and Pandya played, particularly Pant towards the end. He was just having fun.
Yeah.
He just like, I've got to catch a flight. I need to go. So I'm going to hit the last 6 balls of this match for 4, each one of them. But as you say, like he batted sensibly, though. He gave
Yeah.
himself time to do that.
So you said it beautifully, right? Like it brought the joy back. What was the most joyful, I think, for me was in this era of England. England got out all three times. They will still defend it. They defend baseball. You know, unfortunately for India fans, it worked on day 5 in that test match. All the things. This was almost reminiscent of Yuvraj and Kev, or Dada play, or Dhoni, playing late in the innings in matches where you had to dig deep and play uncharacteristic cricket, like 50 off 71 balls, and then of course he made his next 50 off 35 or something. But that the strategy, the thinking, the digging deep and that's what brought the joy back for me, right? It was just so great to watch, to just even be living it with, and Pant and Pandya. And by the way, credit to Jadeja as well, right? Came in a precarious situation, stayed there, gave good company to Rishabh Pant. And then by the end of it, like not playing the rash shot, like England plays the rash shots at all times, if you will, right? Rishabh Pant didn't play the rash shots till he was really in a position where he said, okay, now I can win this, right? There was 54 balls left. They needed 24 or something. And he needs 24, and he hits 5 fours, like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, including some obscene shots. One was a Yorker that he just dug out. One, I think he was trying to hit a pull shot, but it went straight past the bowler, David Willey, and went straight for 4. And then you're like, okay, you hit 5 fours. You're ready to hit one more 4, seal the deal. India wins with 8 overs to spare. And he almost just was toying with us, right? He nudges it to mid wicket, takes a single, and then of course on the next ball of the made England toil, switch ends, bring on a new bowler, all that, and then Joe Root came on and hits it for 4. But Rishabh Pant's first ODI century, which I was surprised by. You remember things better than I do. I'm surprised he didn't have one yet. But in 27 innings, based on where he's been batting relatively low, I mean, what? I think you sent this to me, but has this been the summer of Rishabh Pant, DJ?
It has been. It has been no doubt about it. The 146 that he got in the test match. I mean, you keep saying that this is his coming of age innings. Like Ashley Giles, I think, says it's his coming of age innings. He's come of age, man. He's
I mean,
22 years old.
if you've said that like 6 times, then he's come of age
He's
already, right?
done.
Yeah, the Gamma was a coming
This
of
is
age
what you
innings.
invested in.
Yeah.
This is you've got your Kef Yuvraj, you've got your Yuvraj Dhoni. This is what you want. This is what you want in that middle order. You want those dependable batters. Pandya can now do the job. He can anchor the innings and he can explode. That is an incredible combination to have. Pant can now do the same thing as well, which is it's invaluable for cricket, like Indian cricket lovers. It's going to be amazing. And what I really like, I'd really want to know this because I don't get the ads that you maybe get in India. But does Pant have like a hair in brand endorsement or something?
I have no idea why.
Because he finished his innings and he just kept
Takes
going,
it off, and
like he took it off and he kept doing this and
he
shaking
must.
people's hands.
He must.
Like,
He
is he
must.
sponsored by Brill Cream or something? Because he just kept putting his hand through his hair, and then
Whoever
it,
his
it
sponsor
must
is,
have
if
been
you want
sweaty as well. And then he's shaking hands
taking
with
it.
whoever. I was just like, dude,
Well,
just
whoever
relax.
his hair sponsor is, given how big fans we are of him, if you'd like to sponsor a very popular cricket podcast, we'd love to hear from you as well. But anyway, just unbelievable, right? I
Yeah.
mean, great knock by Pant. Of course, Hardik ends up with Player of the Series for his contribution with both bat and ball, and you know, mostly very positive. But as we go to, I
And the
timed this
punt
badly. I should,
catch as well today, we
yeah,
should say. That
yeah.
punt catch down the his keeping has been excellent on this
Mm-hmm,
tour. I think I
mm-hmm.
can remember one dropped catch on the Bumrah day where it went down the leg side and he got a glove on it, but he kept beautifully in that oval ODI. The catch today of Jadeja to get Moeen, fantastic. Moved well. His keeping has been outstanding. His batting has been brilliant. Yes, he scored a duck in one
Mm-hmm.
game, but I mean, like Joe Root scored a couple of ducks in the series. So remember that when we come to talk about Kohli, because stats can be
So,
made to look very funny when you
so
put them in a
quick
series.
quick stats question, and I'm targeting this one at you, but how many wicket keepers, so designated wicket keepers in the side, have made ODI centuries outside India, outside Asia, excuse me, for India? Can you think of them or who they may be?
So one will be Dhoni, the KL Rahul, and there'll be Rishabh Pant. There'll be three.
El Rahul is correct. Rishabh Pant is correct. Of course, he did today. And the third one is the current Team India coach. That's Rahul Dravid.
Rahul, oh, he scored 145 against Sri Lanka at Taunton.
Dude, the fact that you remember 1999, the
No,
fact that
it's
you remember that
Ganguly and him scored 100, right? And
blows
Dravid was
my
keeping.
mind that you remember
Dravid
that.
was keeping, yeah.
And then Rahul made 112 in Mount Maunganui.
So what? Dhoni's never made a 100 outside India.
Dhoni has never made 100 outside Asia. Sorry.
Outside
Um,
Asia, okay,
yeah,
okay. But he
he
scored 183 against Sri Lanka, right? Not out in a chase,
he
which
did. He's
must
also
be the highest in a chase by a wicketkeeper, I'm sure.
probably he's also
Right?
scored. He has also scored in Karachi. He scored, but most of them are basically in the subcontinent, which
Okay.
is pretty amazing, right? Like
Fair
to think
enough.
about Rishabh being the third keeper in designated keeper, if you will,
And the
in
other two
history.
guys are basically batters who keep,
Correct,
right?
right? Rahul and both the
Rahul and
Rahuls.
Rahul and
Yeah.
Rahul.
Anyway, all right, DJ, we're at the 30-minute mark. We should be wrapping up very soon, but
Now the
I've been
depressing
avoiding.
fact.
I've been avoiding this topic, as you could tell, and a couple other things I want to ask you about from the comp for the West Indies series, and as we move forward. Talk to me about Virat Kohli. Right, he is not playing against the West Indies. I think this is the first time in his career that he has gone 5 consecutive ODIs without crossing 20 with the bat. He obviously, it just feels like he looks good when he's at the crease, and he makes one silly mistake more often than not on the outside edge, whether it's to the keeper or the slips or anyone behind the wicket.
Okay.
Like what?
Well,
Talk to me about it, man.
first,
I don't even have.
first, what are Joe Root's last 5 one-day scores? Do you
No,
know
I'm
that?
not comparing. I'm not
No,
comparing.
no.
them.
I'm just asking. I just want to know
I don't
for
have
my
it
own
handy.
information.
I don't have
I'm
it handy.
actually asking because I'm interested in the answer to this.
Yeah, I don't have it handy.
Because he has 11 test hundreds in the last two years, right? So, of course, he's in good form. But
Yeah.
what are Joe Root's ODI scores? I'm genuinely interested in knowing what those scores are.
Yeah, I don't have it handy.
So
Let
he
me
got
see
a
if I
duck
can.
today. He must have got like 30 odd at Lords. He got a duck at the Oval. Okay, last 3 games.
Mm-hmm. He got 11 runs at Lords.
Okay, so
A duck or 11, whatever.
So 0,
Then
11, 0.
0, 11, 0.
So he scored 11
68,
runs in the series.
68, 79 in 2021 when he played last summer.
Okay.
Then he made a duck against Australia. Then 39, another one.
So
49,
so my
17,
point
7. So yeah, no,
but my
no.
point with that series of scores is we tend to conflate form across formats. We know Joe Root is scoring. He scored 1100 in the last 2 years in Test cricket. He's in good form, right? He's batting well.
Mhm.
Kohli, on the other hand, he hasn't scored a 50 or whatever. He scored below 20 in the last 5 innings. Okay, fine. He's in bad form, but that's across formats as well. But if there is a format where he'll score runs, it's going to be the ODI format. I genuinely think that because that's his game, and he's probably trying too hard. He's probably got things in his mind which aren't great. But he's okay. Let's put it this way: for years, we enjoyed Kohli just churning runs out without question. We just enjoyed it. He's earned whatever rope India need to give him. If he needs a break, give him the break. If he needs to drop down the order, let him drop down the order. Asking when Kohli is going to retire, he's 33.
No, that's stupid. I think that's stupid.
It's not like he's batting badly. He batted well, he hit some, but the problem is the big scores haven't come.
Yeah.
And then you've seen like the threads on Twitter talking about like showing all the innings that he scored, all his 50 plus scores since his last century in 2019 November or whatever. And dude, he is hitting the ball really well in some of those. I think it's been the last 1 year which has actually been a, a tough patch for him. He hasn't scored a lot of runs. Test cricket is he's been struggling, but England is the hardest place in the world to bat. If you're struggling for runs, go to, I don't know, go to Australia. The ball doesn't move much. He'll score runs there. You saw him score runs in the one pink ball test that he played. Don't come to England and expect to score runs if you're struggling. It's hard to bat here. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, you just need to stay patient. As Indian fans, the only thing I would say is just be patient with him. We need to also stop talking about whether he's going to Australia or not. He is going to go to Australia. As you guys said last week, if we had to drop him, we would have dropped him by now. He's the only one who's got any experience of batting at 3 in Australia. Deepak Hooda is not going to be an Australian number 3 in Australia in the World T20. If you've dropped Virat Kohli, imagine the hate you'll get if India lose with Deepak Hooda or Samson at 3. It's a nonsensical conversation. After the T20, take a look at your T20 cricket. Fine. ODI cricketer, what are you going to do by dropping him? Do you have players who are better than him, who are more likely to succeed than him? That is really the point, and we just need to be patient. I mean, he's given enough to Indian cricket. Just give a little back. It's
So
not possible to perform at that level for game after game, for year after year. Everybody goes through a bad patch. He had a purple patch, which was deep, deep, deep purple.
it was, and it was probably one of the longest purple patches I
It
can
was
remember.
almost black, that
It was a
patch.
decade long, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I
insane.
agree, and you and I are both fans of his. I think most Indian cricket fans should be Kohli fans, and so I'm not actually arguing against you on should we drop him, should we give him. I don't believe in all that. I think my question is, what does he need? Does he need breathing room? Does he need time? Does he need to go? Should he go to West Indies and Zimbabwe and play those matches just to get time under his belt? Should he go back play domestic cricket? Should he, I don't know, go play the Blast in England? It's now done, but should he go play T20? So I don't know what he needs, and I don't think we are changing it. We keep like giving him time away, then bringing him back, forcing him at 3. Then like what does he? What does Kohli need to find?
So the thing with Kohli is no matter what he does, he's going to win the spotlight, right? If he takes a break, the India media will be hounding him. Oh, Bhagya, he's not patriotic. He's not doing his duty. I mean, he went on paternity leave for the birth of his child. They're like, look at him. He's not
Yeah.
part of the Indian team. He's not a patriotic guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Kohli does everything at like 150% intensity,
Mhm.
boss. You watch him on a test match fielding in the slips. It's exhausting watching him from the stands because he's jumping every ball. It is.
Yeah.
And so whether he's away from the game, whether he's playing the game, whether he's playing the blast, I mean, the English crowds will be in there, they'll be in his
Mhm.
ear. But he's used to all of that. As long as he has the support of people in the team, which he seems to have. And it's quite funny. When Rohit is captain, he's backing Kohli. When Kohli is captain, he's answering questions about Rohit constantly. I'm just like, dude, 1 year
I
ago, you
mean,
were asking whether Rohit Sharma should be in the test team.
it's
You're
ridiculous
asking
actually
Virat
when you
Kohli
think
that
about it.
question.
Yeah.
So we just need to calm down, get some perspective. TV anchors and news people, we need to generate ratings.
Yeah,
We need
no,
to
I
have
get
an
that. I
expert
get
conversation about everything. And when is Virat Kohli going to retire? It's nice. It's easy. It's
it.
an easy conversation to have
Yeah, no, I get
six
that.
people. Everybody's got their own view. Kohli's finished. He should retire. He should take a break. He should
Hmm.
work harder. I'm sure Anushka is bad for him. That is the new theory.
Of
Apparently,
course.
that's
Yeah.
what I heard. I'm like what? That
It's
it
just
blows
ridiculous.
your mind. Some of the, but it's because he's larger than life. He's
Hmm.
almost bigger than cricket, and he's done that on the weight of his achievements. The moment that falls away, all the like his behavior comes into the picture. Why is he celebrating runouts like that? He celebrated runouts like that he
His whole life.
celebrated
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
entire career.
Yeah. Yeah.
His entire career, he's done that. But that was over the top. Why is he sledging Johnny Besto? Johnny Besto's got 404 games.
This is what he does. This
After
is
he
who he
sledged
is. Yeah.
Johnny Besto swung at 2 balls. Johnny Besto was 12 of 50 balls at that point.
Yeah.
And if
It
Johnny
could have.
Besto
It
had
could
got
have
out,
worked.
then
Yeah.
yeah, it could have
What a
worked. And
genius.
Kohli's
Yeah.
done that his whole life. So
Yeah.
the scrutiny on him will always be there.
Yeah.
And it's not, and they say, okay, Rahul was dropped, the Saurav was dropped, Sachin went through. But the scrutiny that these players had
Yeah.
is nothing compared
Yeah.
to the Twitter era, Virat Kohli, Instagram, 200 million following or whatever scrutiny that he's got. And it all, at the end of the day, it's a simple game. And he knows that. It's a game of bat and ball. And once he gets back, once he gets runs again, it doesn't have to be 100. It can be a
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
And I
Just
mean,
consistently
people
getting
like
things.
Babar are tweeting to him. And I thought that was a nice
That was
moment.
sweet. It was the first time Kohli's replied to a tweet in like a year. Apparently, people are saying, and that's just an example. The fact that I know that is just an example of the scrutiny, right?
Yeah, and Kevin Peterson jumped onto the bandwagon as he does with most things. He's like, okay, Virat, you're going to be good. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's class. He's
Mhm.
class. And everybody knows that. Usman Khwaja is saying, oh, you want to drop Virat Kohli? Fine. Good. Australia agrees with you.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway.
you said it well. I don't have a lot to add. I think we'll see him next at the Asia Cup. Hopefully, he's going to be resting, working. If there's one thing I know about Kohli, when we say he's resting, he is not putting his feet up. There's just there's no way I believe that he's
But
with.
maybe that's it. Maybe it's just finding that stillness in
Yeah,
him that
and
comes with just
yeah,
stepping away for a
he's
second,
got to
being
find
willing to give it
his.
all up.
He's got to
Find
find
his
his
mojo
zen,
again.
and boy, do we hope he does that.
Yeah.
DJ, India starts their tour of the West Indies in 5 days here under Shikhar Dhawan's leadership. I mean, not much to talk there. Just 16th, 17th captain I think we've had in the last 6 months or something ridiculous.
Do you want to be British PM or Indian cricket captain? Both
That's
jobs
it.
seem to be going at this
A lot
point.
of turnover, right? But I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think Ruturaj will probably get a run at the top. You'll have Shreyas and Sky, maybe Huda playing 50 over cricket. That'll be interesting to see. Jadeja continues to play, and then with the ball, it'll be interesting to see if Samson or Kishan gets a looked in, and then Chahal continues to play. Siraj, Prasidh. I think Prasidh's an interesting one for me. I don't think he quite took his opportunity this series, but he's up against Avesh and Arshdeep, who've had both good, like call it last 12 to 24 months, and Shardul is back in the white ball setup as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, what do you make of Shikhar's position in this whole thing? When Rahul comes back, what do you think?
Yeah, I think
He
Shikhar's
didn't
going to
cover
play.
himself in glory today,
Yeah, I think
or the second game, or had a pretty scratchy first game as well.
Shikhar's got a year or 2 years left, right? I think they're not going to change up the. When is the next World Cup? It's summer, right?
2020. No, I think it's late October, November next year.
Okay. Well, I don't believe India is going to shake up the things too much before the World Cup, and so Shikhar and Rohit will probably.
So do you think Rahul comes back into this team, or is Sky worried for a spot, or?
Yeah, I think there's two spots, I guess, for Sky, Rishabh, and Rahul, and that's going to be hard to see how that comes to life. But anyway, we got to wrap up this week's episode. It has been a lot of fun, DJ. By the time we get together next, India would have played on ODI against the West Indies. Sri Lanka is playing Pakistan right now. Some heroics from the number 11 Naseem Shah to survive for 52 balls to get Babar his century and get Pakistan within striking distance of the first inning score from Sri Lanka. So that's great. Congratulations to, gosh, I'm going to get it wrong, both the Netherlands, I think it is, and I really should have set myself up better for this one. Who the two teams that qualified for the T20 World Cup? I believe it's the Netherlands and Zimbabwe. Thank you. Stalled my way.
So
till I
we
got
have a
there.
tour of Zimbabwe coming up, which is what I suggested to get Kohli back into form as well.
Yeah,
So
but I don't
clearly
think he's
someone's
playing yet.
listening to BCCI.
That's it.
Oh, he's not.
I don't think
That's
they've announced the
unfortunate.
squad, but
Oh,
I don't
see,
think they've announced the
this
squad.
was my solution. Just play against
But
the BCC.
I have just assumed he's not playing.
Just play against Zimbabwe. And
No squads
score
announced
100.
yet, but I just
Easy.
assumed. But that brings us to a wrap. Always fun, DJ. Great. Always so much better off the back of a series win against England in England.
Yeah.
But that brings us to a wrap. As always, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We are at One Tip, One Hand, number one tip, number one hand on all social media. We always love to hear from you. So send us a tweet, an Instagram post, Facebook, whatever it is. And we'll be back next week to talk more about India's series under another new captain, Shikhar Dhawan. Till then, stay tuned, send us in your messages, and we will see you next week on the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.